In this practical one, this is what I had left behind. So we want to see how were you supposed to do it. I saw from Diana's perspective, something came out, but I want to give you what you are supposed to do so that we are on the same page. So this is the way you are supposed to align it, declaring the different variables, as you can see, assuming that this is what you're supposed to have when you have designed the form. And then the message regarding on what you're supposed to do, like the month will be assigned the age variable times 12. And then we can also see that for the day age, the variable is vis-a-vis the number of days in the year, regarding on what number of days that you have decided to take up. Then according to the hours, you just needed to add that 24, because the hours in a given day, they are always 24 hours. Then in minutes, and then in seconds, and then you can write something close to that to display the echo message, and then the final one to display the days and then the hours. So today we want to see how we can try it in our free time so that it comes out in your system. So in summary of what we are going, that is just something, a recap of what you are supposed to do as a take-home exercise on the one person. I think the rest I never saw. I don't know whether Solomon submitted his or Sumaya and Shira. I only saw for Diana's group. But today I don't see the Diana's group mate. In summary, we are going to talk about how to use the include statement and some of the key words and functions which are literally used. Okay. Then we talk about the design and the creation of database, which I hope that everybody here can create a database. Then the database connection, some examples, and then a simple assignment. That assignment is going to be considered as our test. As tomorrow, you're aware that we may be doing the HCI test, which I'm going to be finishing very early so that I leave you to read. But that assignment that you're going to have in this one, it will be your test week, but in a practical part, not written codes. How do we use the include statement? Members, when you find include statement, we use it to call a specific file, and that specific file will be displayed where you have called it. So when you use it, it is basically to call a given file and then displays that content, that very area that you want to be displayed. That means you can create a number of pages and you design one main dashboard. And then on that dashboard, you keep on calling all the pages from wherever they are. So that's the way you can deal with such environment. So like as you can see by use of an example here, you can literally see that this include statement was used. You can say include opendb.php. So this open you see here, this is a page. So that means you have created a page called OpenDB .php. Then you just call that page if it has some content. So it will be just pinpointed direct to where you are using whatever type of work that you are dealing with. So as we continue, we have some key functions that you need to know. The select where, from, order by, these are just statements that you are familiar with by use of SQL. I hope so. You have seen them in database, also in database programming. Then we have the functions. MySQL query, if you follow my notes that I had given, that MySQL query, it is there, which helps you to retrieve some of the commands that you are executing. Then we have the die. Die, it is just to return, and sometimes it returns error messages, an alternative. So if you have not successfully sent some information or retrieved some information, you just need to write a die function to easily return an error message. Then we have the fetch array that is fetching data. Then MySQL associate, that means it will keep on pouring information which is in the same category. Then we have MySQL connect, which will help us to connect between our pages and the databases. When you are making the configuration of between the pages, that means with the dynamic website, you'll need to learn how to use MySQL query. Then MySQL select DB. This is basically used for in areas of database. So if you are connecting to the database, you'll find that this is very important when you are trying to connect to the database. So MySQL select database, it will select the particular database that you are literally using at that particular moment. I think you are going to see it in upcoming slides as we move on. So this is just a simple activity here. Design and creation of database. So you can do some paperwork, list the names of fields you are having in your database, e.g. The name, the ID, the country, and then the name of the program. Then you can use with the command line or the GUL to create your database, the query browsers. Idea, I think you know how to create databases and the tables. So you do that practically. So after doing it practically, then it is going to bring us the concept on how do we connect databases. So connection of databases. What is the process that you go through to connect to the databases? There are 3 files which are very important according to what I prepared for you. We have the configuration file, the opening file, and the closing. Those 3 files are very important when you're creating the connection between your page and the database. So these are ways of connection. So you need to have the configuration file. And what do you need to have in there, that configuration file? So, dear colleagues, dear students, this is the code that you need to write in the configuration file. So when you are opening up any, just a moment. Okay, we continue. Sorry for that interruption. Members, when you are opening a database or when you're opening MySQL, can somebody try to remind me, when you're opening MySQL, what do you do in that process of opening? What do you insert before you even create the databases and the rest? When you are opening the database or when you're opening through MySQL, what are some of the credentials do you go through to access it? Anybody to
Before using this, you have to specify which kind of database you're going to use.
No,
Whereby
you
you
have
have
gone
to
far.
Okay.
Before you even specify the database, what do you do when you open MySQL query browser? That interface has what? Shaira? Sumaya, Solomon, what interface, when you open through query browser, what interface do you see?
There is the interface, the window side where the databases are seen, and then the other part where you have to write the codes, and then the other part where the results are seen.
Yes, that's now basically I wanted to know. Let me show you the screen that I'm talking about. Do you see that screen?
Yeah.
So that's what you need. You need the host, you need the username, you need the password. And then there's the default scheme, maybe the database that you are going to particularly use. So you'll find out that you need these 4 components for you to access the database that you are going to handle. So you need the host, you need the user, you need the password. If it has a password, you put the password, and then you need the database specifically that you are using at that particular moment. Are we clear? So these are the key things that we need when we are making the configuration. So once I know that these are the ones that I need to make the configuration, takes me back to where am I right now, that I will make my configuration page. This is just a page that I'm creating. I'm going to show you how to create it very well in PHP. So once you have it, you need to declare, this is just a variable username or user is root. Then you have the password. If your password is 123, then you put that particular password that you are using. Then the last one, it is to specify which database. In this case, I'm going to use as if we are creating a database for our campus. So I will just use this database name. And then once you are done with that, you close. So that file needs only that. You are connecting to the database, you are connecting the pages and the database. So once you are done with that, then you are going to create another page called OpenDB. You can call it any name, only that I prefer to call it OpenDB.php. Diana, are we together?
Yes, sir, we're together. It's Solomon that is having a question.
Solomon has a question. Solomon?
Yeah, thank you, sir. I was asking, do these credentials change when you're dealing with certain databases?
When you are doing what?
Dealing with different databases.
Yes, when you have a site which has a database, you have created, my assumption is that you have created the database already with particular tables. I've created a database called Al-Mustafa. Then the database called Al-Mustafa, I will create maybe student table in it. So that means I have designed a system which registers students at Al Mustafa. So now that system, for it to operate, you need to make a connection between the pages that you have created, that is your form, and the database that you have also created on the other side. So how do we make connection, the database connection between the page that you have created? It is what we are saying. That means I told you that we need those 3 files to help us create the connection. And one of the files that we need, it is the configuration file. But it has different styles of achieving it. You can use that criteria that I have used here, or we can use another one. There are 3 of them. So in meantime, let us focus on this one. Then I will also tell you the techniques of others. So that's why I said that you need the configuration file. In the configuration file, you are only specifying the config.db. That means specifying the logging, the process of accessing to your database. And that's why we needed the hosting, the localhost, we need the password, we need the user, and that is root, and then we need the tutor password that you used, and then the last one, you need to specify the database name. So now you have done the configuration. So after doing the configuration, you need to open the database the way you do it when you're accessing MySQL. Here we are doing it in codes. We are writing codes to define that. So now with our DB, you are writing simply this code to. That's why I talked about some functions. I talked about the function of MySQL Connect. So here I'm just creating a variable. This is a variable, and that variable equals to MySQL query. This is the function. What am I querying? I'm querying this. I'm querying the connection that I declared in configuration file. I am calling the variable called username. I'm calling the variable called the password. So after that, I need to specify the type of database that I'm using by also calling another function. This function is now called MySQL select DB. MySQL select DB here, it is showing you that if you remember very well that we declared them in configuration, and now I'm just calling them here. That is what I'm simply doing. These are the ones that you see here. Now I'm creating another file called opening, and that file called opening, it is calling them as you can see there. And then you are done. Members, when you create those 2 files, you have now opened MySQL in PHP. But you have not yet ended. There is one last file that you need to create. That means the 3rd one, which is for closing. That for closing, you just simply write MySQL close. This here, we just only, the rest are just comments, if you remember. These are comments. But our main thing, it is on this. And that is MySQL close. And what are we closing? We are closing the connection that we created in the last file. We are closing this connection that we created here, and that's why we are calling it here. You can see that I've just called it with connect, and then that connection, it is what I will call. So I only call this part, and then it will be added on our side, and then I close it. So, but that closing, you're going to see why do we need to close it and how important it is. Because always databases, you open and close. That when you send data there, data will be entered and then it needs to be closed to avoid issues of hackers, to avoid issues of when you send a code, when you need it the second time, it won't be executed. Why? Because it was left open. So it will assume that the code that you send first, it is still being processed. And that's why you need to close to terminate in simple terms. So as we wind up with this part, I will just show you the format that we are going to use. The format in your page, like if I have created my login page, it will have this. That is the format. You need to include config PHP, you need to include PHP opening, and then in between here, where you see this part, it is where you're going to add different codes. Maybe insert into the table, maybe select the following data from the table, and then at the end you need to call the closing page. You need to call the closing page, but you start with the configuration page, then you go on to the opening pages, and then you can continue like that. So specifically, this is very important for us to get to know on how we connect to the database. So this is just an example that you can create using our information that I told you at the beginning, because you have already created a database which has the name, it has the nationality, it has the program, and many others. Then we are creating a page that allows the user to insert his details and also view the rest of registered members. So how is it done? If you have written it in the right, if you have done everything in the right way. I'm just going through this preamble so that by the time you start the practical part of it, you already know how to deal with it. Now, whatever I'm going to be displaying, it is something that we have already talked about. Now, the page, the code that you are going to write will be simply like that. And something that to add here, it is this insert query. You can call it any name here. You may even declare a variable called add equals to insert into. When you're saying insert into what? Registration. That means within my database at Mustafa, I have a table called registration, and then it has the following, key columns. And then the values that I'm going to be entering, I can also declare it somewhere here. Here I'm just making a summary, but you need to declare. You can declare it in between here. You can write your declaration. What you have on your form, you can declare it here, and then here you start calling it with the names that you use to declare with it. Because if you take it like the way it is, automatically it will return an error message. Why? Because it doesn't see these variables. And after that, once you have terminated on the first line, the second line, you need to write MySQL query. MySQL query what? It is a query this variable. It is querying this variable which has a statement insert into registration the following results. And then we have another one, another key function, which is die. Die is helping us to return a certain message. A message showing that if you have not successfully entered the results, please do the following. So that is, please, you are free to put on the questions like what Solomon did in the chat group, and then it will help us move very well before we go into the other dynamics. So once you are done with that, then you can see now within the same code, I have closed, and after closing, then the code is executed. So ideally, that's what we needed to know, but I'm going to try, if my browser work well, then I'll try to show you. Which question?
Sir, before we go ahead, I wanted to ask, is it possible that someone can just create the database and then comes into the PHP and create the tables from this side of PHP? Is that possible?
Okay, thank you. When you are creating in PHP, you are just specifically to understand that you are creating tables in MySQL or in XAMPP. After that, those are your database and tables. Then on this side, you are creating just a form, which is going to help you to ease for you the work of inserting that data into that database, which you could even enter it directly in your database. So automatically, I'm going to show you, don't freak out. And we welcome our Major General Abani. So idea, that's what, then this is the assignment that you guys are going to do as your test, but having tried to understand. I'm going to do two things. I'll even take my time to record the video, and even this one, I've already recorded one for what we have gone through today, and then you'll be in position to understand the thing very well. Let me see if I'll be in position to share my second screen for coding. Let me first even open it so that we move together. I'm going to simply share my screen so that I think right now we are together. I don't know whether you can see my screen, but if you can see it, then we are safe. Now, members, assuming that you have installed XAMPP on your machine. So when you install XAMPP on your machine, you need to open XAMPP. I think Solomon and the rest, we are following. Sheila, please send a message to know whether you are with us. And Sumaya, you may be cooking some food, and for me, I'm teaching. Can you send a message whether we are together? I'm saying Sheila, I'm only seeing Solomon replying on their behalf. Okay, yes, we are safe now. Continue cooking. Now, members, you go to where XAMPP is. XAMPP is always on C, depending on how you have done your installation. Then when you open it, you go to htdocs. Then under htdocs, you can create any file, any folder. I'm going to create a simple folder. That folder, I'm going to call it, okay. So after that folder is being created, it is now our project. Diana, this is our project. Meaning that even this side, I can come, also open, and then I clearly open my side of the database. Please, you keep on putting in the chat whether whatever I'm doing, you are seeing it. If you can't see it, it is not my crime. So now I'm creating also the same database. Then within the same database, you know how to create the tables. If you have forgotten, it is upon you. And that table, I'm going to call it student. And then I will need to create some columns. We have name. I don't want to have a primary key. And this name, no, we need to have SID. We need to have name. Then we need to have, we said name, we said what? Program. Then we need to have address. And for now, they are enough. If you want more, you create. Why? Let me create one with the primary key. United refused. Okay, now we are safe. We have those key fields. So now we have them here. So what we are doing, my dear ones, you already have this, but it is empty. So you are going to create on the side of, like I'm going to be using Dreamweaver. So I will need to open my Dreamweaver. And after opening my Dreamweaver, I'm going to create the page. I'm going to create the page. So I'm trying to clear everything here so that you get to know what I'm doing. Aha, now members, we have this. So I'm going to create a new, and when I click on new, members, are you seeing my screen? My daughter Diana, quickly respond. Okay, good. I can see that you can see my screen. Aban, are you there, sir? So now members, when you click on it, PHP, then you click on OK. Now, once you click on OK, we need to, before that, let me just show you. My page is here, but I need to save it. I click on save. It is going to look for where I'm going to save it. And ideally, I already have my file created in XAMPP. That file, the first file, I'm going to call it index.php. And then click save. So I've saved my page. So this is the page that I have created. Now, this page, because I have created my database the other side, I need now to create a form. Now on that form, how do I create? I just need to click on insert here. I click form. I like to first create a form. And inside that form, I'm going to insert a table. You know why do I need to insert a table? It makes my work a little bit easy. It has 3 rows and 2 columns, but you can add more. So this table will help me to design whatever I'm going to design accordingly. But again, I want it in center. I will just come under properties here, put it in center, and I don't want those borders. I will click 0 here. Then after that, I wanted to merge these 2 columns. I've selected them, and then I want to merge them here. After merging, I can even write anything. Student registration form. You can come under these properties. You have a lot. You can centralize it. No problem. You can even make it more bold. You can add as many as you like. Make it bigger. Then here we have name. Then here we had a program. And then here we had, which one else? We had program, we had address. I'm not going to mention about the the student number because it's going to be automatic. Then after that, here we need to add where the box, the text box. I click on it and then I insert a text box. It is under flame and it is here. So that text box, I will remove this because I have already created it here. If you don't create it there, then you need to give it. Now, click on that text box. When you click on it, down here, you're going to see for the names. Then I'm going to give it S name. So without wasting time, I will just copy that. And even here, and then click on them, give them their right names, program. And I come here, I will give it address. So automatically it is done here. What is remaining just to put here button. I will also go back under insert. Then I insert a button. The buttons are also there. We have submission button. So I will click on it and then already have it there, which has no problem. So I'm going to save my work. So after saving, if we go back to my file here, it's not showing my file. My file here, the file is already there. Now I want to create the other files that I talked about, which are going to help us connect. So those files that I'm going to create, again, I come using the same method, click new, PHP, create. So I need to save them. So I'm going to save it here as config.php. But mind you, when you click on this side, here it is going to be a little bit unique. I will go to the code, remove everything, and then declare as it is a global variable. Then inside here, you declare what we declared. What we declared the other time was the host in bracket. The host was localhost. If you remember, when we opened the MySQL, and then we have, I can just call it user. And that user here is going to be the root. Here, we are going to declare the password. We even call it password. Then in bracket, you're going to have, if you have 1, 2, 3, maintain that. And then the last one, it is the database name, which is, we called it AIC. So after that, you can just save your work, and then it is done. So that is the first file. So members, that first file that I have created, if I just come here in the index page, I'm going to click anywhere. If I click anywhere in the code this side of the code, I'll just create a space, and inside here I'm going to create my PHP file. So here, if I write include what? config.php, and I save. Once I've done saving, Let me save my page. And when I configure it, then it will come out very well. So I've added that page here, and then we are going to see how it will work. So after that, we are going to create another more page. Then we are going to create the other page for the configuration. That's the process, Diana, that I was talking about, that you are creating your page here, and then you need that configuration to help you take the data into the database. That's what we are trying to do here until the process is done. Are we still together?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, good. So once you are done with that, then you just need to create another file, new, then the same file, give it. With these files, let me first save it. This file, I'm going to call it open db. db is database, but you can give it any name. You can call it open. Then I go straight away to the code, and then I remove everything and save. So after saving, you can start writing your code there without wasting a lot of time. Where is my work? Without wasting a lot of time. I'm just going to copy this and then go back to my code. And then I place that. And there I used only user, and I think I used the password, if I'm not mistaken. I used the password. And then that is all. Just click on save. But idea, we have not yet configured the way my Dreamweaver. I need to configure it at end. So after that, then another file that you are going to create, it is for the closing. Then that file, I'm going to remove everything there. And then simply, I'm going to create for closing. For the closing, if I go back here, we just post this, because these are comments. You can even remove them. So that's what you needed for close db dot. I call it close db because I'm just completely closing our pages. So members, these are the pages that we've been talking about. So you just keep on adding them here. But when you're adding them here, there's one key thing that I want to wind up with so that you can now try this in your free time to ensure that your thing works very well. As long as you have XAMPP, and XAMPP, when you have it, start it, run it and start it. Then after starting it, then you'll be in position to have everything running. That is the XAMPP that I'm talking about. You need to click on it to start. And if it refuses to start, that means it has a certain problem that you need to handle. So you just need to click on it and then click on MySQL to start. And once it starts, mine has some few issues because I'm working on a certain project which are clashing with it. But when you put those, and then automatically it will be in position to launch and work very well. Now, after that, how do we configure? To configure our site, when there are two ways, you can go to this site, here site, and say new site. So you want to configure this site. So you can give it any name. I'm calling it this name, Al-Mustafa. And where is it located? Then you can look for where it is right now. Then you click save. And once you are done, members, you can see even on the source code. Here, the page that I called onto the same page, it is already appended here. If I dare call also opened, let me try it here and then you see. Here, I'm only calling one, but if I come and I call, you're going to watch here that another file is going to be added in our page. So I will just call open db and save. Okay. After opening db, our site that we see here, automatically it will bring them here. Let me complete the connection. There is server here. I never added the server. Click on the server. We'll continue with the same name because it is the site. It is also on the server. So I never wanted to separate them. But sometimes you may separate what is on the site and what is on the server. If you remember how we uploaded our site. But right now, our server is going to be our machine. So here you come and then make it localhost. And then you come and specify where the files are. And then here it is always good to add the link localhost stock what you call the name. So this is very important to know. You just need to save it and then click save, execute, and then you can see that even this one has been added. So if you come here and then add another one, then you add for close. I think close it is db.php. And then save, you're going to see that it is also added. So whatever you call as include, it is completely added onto your work. Mine has some few issues, that's why you may not see it working here. It won't work because it has some pending issues that I need to work on with limitation to my environment that I'm using as of now. So idea, this is what we are trying to do, which you are going to follow with my notes that I'm going to post. So that is the process. Diana, if I have answered your question, that's the process that you need to go through. Create your database, open SQL, make it run, and then create your database. And after creating the database and the tables, then come and create your simple component here that I created the other time. I came here, I created this. So after creating that, then you can write your PHP code, which is going to take the data into the database that we have just seen in today's class, and that was the code that you saw here. Well, code I think I've opened the long one, but the code I'll be sharing it to you so that you can freely use it in your free time. It is here. You add it, practice, and then you feel free to share it with me so that we can see how to improve that. Members, you're going to try it out in your free time. Please try to carry it on. so that at the end we come up with something better. This is what I presented, and this is the code. So you copy the same. If I copy this into my work, like my PHP here, under the code, here it is in between this space, then I'll just keep on improving depending on what I have used here. I've used only 3. I need to come and improve them here so that it can take my work. And even in the database, I gave it student as student, and I remember that I will leave it. The name, it was S name, and then here I had programs, and then I had address. So it is the same thing that you need to come here, but mind you, this one was not added. It's not part. So you just need to come here, and then you call it by the variable name which you had given it. And then here the variable name address. But again, we have not yet declared them. We shall declare them as we move on. Then address. So what I'm talking about, why I have not declared them, you come here, declare. What you have in this form here, declare it here. So you can declare sname equals to $, post, and then our post had 2, which was I think even the other side I called, this side I called sname, and then terminate. So without wasting time, I'll copy that. Copy that. Here it was for program. Which I think I also called it program here. Then here I have address. And then here I also have address. So you save, that is the code which you're going to use to execute. So once you have written it in that same setting, and then you go to your browser. In your browser, you just put localhost, stock, the name of the site, and then the name of the site that you have given it, it is AIC. And once you run, then the table will be displayed. Here, why is it not displaying? Because of the kind of environment that I'm using. But I will be keep on activating it for you, and then it works very well. So far, that's what we wanted to do. I'm going to be sharing this video. Try it out. Where you get challenges, please keep on posting, and then we see how we can get done. So that is the process of even creating our files very well in using Dreamweaver, and then how to create a database and how do you connect between those two. Please, any question as of now? Start on it. I thank you for attending. I hope only one person was missed, but I'm so glad that you have done. Okay, Solomon is asking, sir, the server was shift. I missed that some procedure. Yes, the procedure you're going to try and get them from the video, and then that's where I feel more comfortable. When you go through it and you find challenges, then we shall be in position to do it. For the server, I showed you that you make it run, and then how do you make it? Also in the video, you're going to have it very well. I thank you very much for being patient and then for carrying on. Please, I encourage you to do the best and then do more research so that at least we move a little bit faster. With our busy schedule, we can manage whatever it is on board. I'll be very happy to see you guys succeeding in this. Work in your groups that I gave you to ensure that you move a little bit well and guide one another, whoever has missed the concept. I thank you very much. May God bless you and have a happy month. Amen.